We're at mistakes managers make, number 3. Yes, this is super exciting material that simply helps us to evolve and to continue our growth path as owners or managers in our industry. So in a minute, we're going to head off to chat to Steve EWING, who is the spa director currently at Mottram Hall. Gorgeous, gorgeous property in Cheshire, and it's part of the Chapman's Group. Now, Steve has had many, many years of experience at manager and director level. And when I was chatting to him about what he believes his biggest mistake that he's made in his business, I totally loved his answer. And you're going to hear about it in a minute, but I'll just prepare you for it and really get you interested, whet your appetite to listen to this interview. Because I feel that over the last couple of weeks, chatting to every single spa owner or manager that I chat to, they always seem to go back to the issues or challenges that they are having with their staff. Now, Steve's mistake, his biggest mistake that he feels he made, was revolving around staff. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'd really like you to watch this interview. But Steve has some incredible insights that he's given us into how paying a little bit more attention to your staff and treating them in specific ways, which you'll find out in the interview, can actually make sure that your revenue increases. Yes, very interesting. They are directly related. So yes, stay tuned and let's go chat to Steve. Okay, Steve, all over to you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Steve. I am spa director currently at Champneys Mottram Hall in the UK in Cheshire. I've got a background, I've been working in the industry for the last 20 years in a variety of different roles.
Okay, well that sounds amazing. So lots and lots and lots of experience from your side, which is exciting. Okay, so Steve, tell us and share with our community and with all spa owners and managers out there your biggest mistake that you feel are currently in your business.
I think the biggest mistake that I feel that we make, and it's a mistake that I've made in the past as well, is where we over-focus on revenue. I know sometimes, and to some people, that will sound ridiculous, but it really isn't ridiculous. I really feel that the focus, the strategy always has to be around people. And actually, when you focus on people, then revenue and profit and all of those other things come flooding through. But the focus has to be on people, not revenue.
Okay, so that's very interesting because you have to get the revenue, right? The owners are demanding, they want a return on investment, otherwise why should they be in business? And you say focusing on the people, and this currently seems to be a huge mission and problem because the people seem to be a problem for the owners and managers and directors. So can you give us any guidance on, because I think I could almost say that 100% of our community out there is experiencing the same problem. How do we either avoid it, or B, if we find ourselves in this situation, how do we fix it?
I mean, it's interesting, don't get me wrong. I mean, my KPIs are set around revenue and profit. It's about strategy and focus. And I really think if you only focus on those things, you're going down slightly a wrong path. We obviously work in the spa industry, and treatment revenue is dependent solely really on the amount of therapists we have available. Retail revenue is dependent on the motivation of those therapists and making sure that they're motivated and trained and guided and praised and rewarded for selling retail, for promoting retail. For things like ancillary revenue, things like drinks revenue, it's dependent on cafe servers, on restaurant workers, on service. Price point, which is completely affects profitability. Price point depends on quality of service, and you can't deliver a quality service without having the right people trained and in the right places and given fantastic service. So I think that's the main crux of it. I think the main thing that people struggle with is that a lot of people will say, well, I do look after my people, I do look after the team, I do different things, but I think what's happened in particularly the last sort of 5 years is that the industry's really changed. The workforce has changed. The team is not just one team and one voice. It's actually a team of individuals. I've often talked in the past about sort of conveyor belt span, and my sort of absolute disdain for people and clients feeling like they're on a conveyor belt. And I think the same rules apply to our teams. It's no longer suitable for us to just talk in one way to all team members, give them one method of communication. They all really need to be seen as individuals, individual needs, different ways they will be motivated, different ways that they'll be trained even. And that's actually really what I've seen a change over the last 5 years. And I think that's, obviously we've gone through a pandemic. People are questioning, why they do the jobs they do, whether they could be in a happier place and doing a different job. So it's really important that we sort of engage with people on an individual basis and really find ways to make them happy and make sure that they understand and are trained and rewarded, developed. All of those things are really, really important. I think the other interesting thing, I know that, I'm lucky at the minute. I work for a brand which really does put people at the heart of their operation. Understanding how important it is, understanding that people's strategies are important. But I know some people will say, well, hang on, I'm given my KPIs, and my KPIs is to make as much money as possible, to make as much profit. So how can I actually, push it back? Well, I think you have a responsibility to push it back. I think as spa directors, we have a responsibility to look after our teams and ensure we don't churn people out of the industry. There's a shortage of people coming through. So the people that do come through, we need to look after them. So that's our responsibility, to develop them and make sure that they're nurtured at the start of their careers. And I think ultimately then with our line managers, our owners, our directors above us, it's about really sort of linking people to the KPIs that they give you. My example would be something like retail percentage. You cannot achieve a strong retail percentage if you haven't spent time training a therapist. So training has to be at the heart of your strategy to achieve that KPI. They will do better if they're rewarded. So you need a strategy of incentives and rewards and all of that. And again, you need to feed that back to achieve a retail percentage. That's exactly what you'll need to do. The other thing is about them feeling motivated, feeling energized, feeling all of those things. And that's a much more difficult thing, but it's much more about time, taking time to understand them as an individual, and taking time to put processes in place either for individual training or individual development or bodying. Lots of different ways to do that. But again, we really need to push back. Our owners own businesses because they are successful and they have made money because they are successful and they understand business. So it's our duty as the experts in the field, as the person put in charge and given responsibility for achieving these KPIs of revenue and profit. It's our responsibility to feed back to owners. The way to do that is through constructive people strategies. And that's what I really believe in. I think it's a common mistake. And I think, the industry would be better off if we actually all focused on this. It would stop the churn of employees leaving the field to do other things.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Steve, did you say constructive people strategies? Is that the words you used? Yeah.
So basically, it's the idea of that really is not airy-fairy. It's not, oh yeah, you know what, we give all the team a Christmas present at Christmas. So we look after our team because we've given them one present at Christmas. We give them all the same present. Okay. So that would be what we maybe 10 years ago I would have done something like that. At Easter, maybe I would have got everyone an Easter egg, and that would have been a great sort of people strategy. Everyone was happy. But actually now you'll find that some people don't like chocolate. You'll find some people, lots of different things like that, and that's really, really important, because actually people's needs have changed over a period of time. So having a constructive people strategy means that you're actually trying to build people. Talked to Marcia before the call. I think it's really interesting when you actually really focus on people. You actually find achieving revenue, achieving profit a lot easier than it ever was. It's not a quick fix, and it's certainly not something that happens overnight. But by sort of putting this sort of strategy into place, you will definitely feel the dividends.
Wow. Okay, so can I ask you a few little questions revolving around this? So how often do you meet with your team, or your manager meets with the team as a group, and then how often do you meet with them as individuals?
Different things. We meet as a therapy team every day. So in terms of spa therapists, we have a morning brief. We have two briefs actually, because some team members start and the first treatment's 9, some start first treatment 10. So again, it's making sure that everyone's engaged, everyone understands the needs of the day. That brief is also important because it gives you a chance to see everyone as individuals. You can very quickly pick up, who's in the right frame of mind, who's maybe got other issues or other thoughts, and straight away you can get feedback and get somebody they'll generally say, they've got a problem, or we would use other team members. So I'll ask another team member to say, I'm not sure, somebody needs a pick me up. We do things throughout the day here. An 8-hour day is a long day. So at different points in the day, then we'll do things, break out chocolate, break out sweets, things like that there. Which again is not groundbreaking, but it is about sort of understanding, what motivates people. We do lots of things as a team as well. Lots of things sort of outside of work, before work, after work. But one of the key things we do is we celebrate success together. We don't, obviously it's important to focus on negative feedback as well. But again, in a sort of similar sort of vein, focusing on positive feedback is actually much more constructive, because everyone wants praise. We praise in public, and that's something I was taught a number of years ago. So that's really, really important, because it creates a culture where people, they want name mentions. They want, we read out service reviews. So where somebody's had a review and its name mentioned, a particular therapist or a particular receptionist, we do that, and people enjoy hearing their name read out, and that's really, really important. And if we have anything else to discuss with a team member, we'll do it in private. But yeah, it's important. Communication is hugely important, and also, as I said before, it's different methods of communication, because not everyone responds in the same way. We have WhatsApp groups. We have a thing called Fourth Engage, which is a payroll system. But there's nothing like sitting down with somebody on a one-to-one, or sitting down as a team and talking about everything that's going on.
Okay, great. Your one-on-ones, how often do you have those? Is it monthly, quarterly?
We do one-to-ones on a monthly basis. I don't do all the one-to-ones, but basically we'll tick off to make sure that everyone is at individual time. And again, booking that time out, some people would say that's completely unrealistic. How can I allocate so much time to my team? But again, when you feed back to somebody as an individual, when you have a time to really take on board what they're saying, what their needs are, it's really, really important. A lot of people would say, I've got an open door policy, and if they've got a problem, they can come and ask me. But again, actually, there's only a percentage of people's personality would do that. So I have some team members, and they would never knock on my door if they had a problem. They would want to say, Steve, a busy guy. So whenever I take time to speak to them, they will almost have their things that they would really like to talk about, or things that they would like to see, or training that they'd like to do a lot of the time. So so it's interesting.
Brilliant. question, because I'll actually be here all day with you, but anyway, last question will be, is how often do you have internal training? So, do you have you allocate 2 hours a week? Do you have a specific system to make sure that internal training is ongoing? How do you work with that?
We do. I'm very lucky to work for Champneys. So Champneys, their fundamental real strategy is around training. So we obviously operate treatments to a very high standard, and because of that, the expectation of the guest is very high. So the guest knows that coming to a Champneys spa, they will achieve they'll get a first-class treatment. So we do a lot of different things around that. The main thing we do is around induction. So we really, really believe in strong induction. Again, something that's happened over the years is that the pressure is on, so you recruit a therapist, but the pressure is on actually getting that therapist to start doing treatments. So they're almost sort of mini inducted, thrown in, and then they learn on the job. And that's not something that we would do here. It's something, if I did that, I'd probably get shot. So we really believe on doing the induction properly. We have a set 4-day induction, but even within that, when we recognise that that person turning up as an individual, we will tailor that training plan to make sure that we get the most out of it. And not everyone learns at the same speed, and we want them to do each treatment that they're allocated to an absolute amazing standard. So if that means at the end of those 4 days that we sign them off on 8 treatments, that's okay. Yeah, that's 8 treatments that they're going to do to a really high standard. And then through the rest of their time, we can book on time and train them on additional treatments. We have an in-house trainer. Again, some would see that as a luxury. Haven't had an in-house trainer for the last sort of 12 months. I would say is an absolute necessity. We couldn't operate without that. It's another person that the team can go to. But it's also somebody that analyses our guest feedback and really would then tailor plans where maybe people may deviate from protocols and standards to really feed that back and do that. And you asked about time. The maddest thing about this is that my answer would be as much time as we needed. And again, maybe not everyone could answer that question like that, but it is really important that if we need time to train the team, we take it, because we know in the long run, it's better feedback. Better feedback means that somebody will go away, and whenever they rebook, they would pay more the next time they come. I think a lot of the time people are very short-sighted. They think, well, we'll take the money today, but actually, the money we take, we want them to come back. They need to come back. In fact, a lot of our guests come back multiple times, partners or girlfriends or family, parents, and that's really, really important. So they'll only come back if they've had a good experience, and they'll only pay more next time if they've had an amazing experience. It's value for money. So as I said, it's not a short game, no. But I think the 2 years have shown it. The danger of coming out of COVID is that I think a lot of people, probably another, not necessarily mine, but the drive is to try and make as much money again as quickly as possible. But I think that's probably breaking the industry. I think that's making therapists churn out. And I think, as I said before, so we've a huge responsibility to our team when they've trained, when they've been recruited, to make sure that they start their career in a really strong way and feel supported, so that they stay in the industry. Because that's the key issue.
Wow, that's amazing. So based on the information that you've shared with us, generally what we do after this interview is we share either a little SOP or a little checklist or something like that. And I'm thinking it might be quite nice to share a Steve says, or Steve's top 10 in terms of looking after your people. And maybe you can just, you've given us a lot, but perhaps you could do your little personal top 10 on how to put your team first to create better revenue. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That sounds brilliant. Then I'll send you the document, the template, and then you can populate it how you think. And then everybody who's listened to this interview can just have a little tangible tool that they take back and do a little checklist, make sure that they headed in the right direction.
Yes.
Thank you for your time, Steve. I know that you're very, very, very busy with that beautiful spa of yours. I had a look online. I think when we post this interview, we'll do a little link for everybody to see in what a magnificent part of the world you get to work in. And thank you. Your time is greatly appreciated by all of us at the Spa Professionals Guild community.
Okay, thank you.
Superb. Have a lovely afternoon. Okay, cheers from all of us.
Okay, bye-bye.
Ciao.